Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Talk It Out podcast. I'm your host, Alec Lifshows, a.k.a. Trey Busy. I thank you guys all for tuning in last week. Everybody who subscribed to the podcast, wherever it's available, I really do appreciate you guys. It is September 19th, 2019. Luckily, here in Chicago, it's still warm outside. We haven't been hit by the cold yet. I'm one of the people that's in the it's a small percentage of us that actually appreciate the heat still. Everybody else is looking forward to the cold weather. Me personally, I know how it is in the wintertime, so I'm cherishing the heat still. So before I go too much further, I want to thank James for coming on last week. James came on and was very, very transparent about the issues he's dealing with in his life as far as battling alcoholism and going through divorce with his wife. And just like James is really, the fact that he's open about it means that he's well along his way on recovery. And again, I will continue to reach out to him and support him. And people that have reached out to me about reaching out to him through the network and through the podcast, I really do appreciate you guys. But before I go on too much further, I'm not alone tonight. I have a very special guest. She reached out to me, and I'm really excited to get her on. Tia, welcome to the podcast tonight.
Yeah. Hey guys. How are you?
How are you doing tonight, Tia?
I'm so excited to be here. I'm good. I'm great. I'm so excited to be here.
Excellent. I'm very happy to have you on. So before we go too much further, before I start asking you the good stuff, I want you to tell people a little bit about yourself and let them know a little bit why you're passionate about mental health.
Okay, so my background, I suffered from anxiety and depression. I suffered with it at an early age. So how I started my life as quote unquote dealing with mental illnesses. When I was young, I was diagnosed with IBS. I don't know if a lot of people know about IBS. It's irritable bowel syndrome. And it's basically having a food intolerance. So when I was young, when I was around, I believe I started to have these symptoms when I was like 11 or 12 years old. And I didn't really know what it was then. But I know it caused a lot of anxiety and depression starting at a very early age. By having these food intolerance, I could not eat anything all the time. I remember going to school basically starving. I remember not even graduating high school. I had to get my GED because I was missing so many days of school because of my IBS. So for any kid, it's hard to deal with. Dealing with that disorder, that syndrome is hard to deal with. So I'm so passionate because even though I'm basically cured from it, I hate to hear and see people going through it. It is just devastating to me. So that's why I'm so passionate about it.
I was going to ask you.
I wouldn't want anybody to go through it. Yeah. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
I was going to ask you, Tia, how do you, because I've heard people dealing with irritable bowel syndrome, how do you get cured for that? Is there some type of antibiotics they put you on over time, or is there a surgery? How does that work?
I have to cure that on my own, and part of it was the doctors. To me, the doctors didn't help me at all. This is all about experimentation. So half of the battle is dealing with food, and the other half of the battle is psychological. So what I had to do was take a mental note of everything that I ate that made me basically sick all the time. This took about years dealing with this. Food, I can eat anything with additives, preservatives, food colorants. I had to eat regular food, nothing added to it, organic, really clean food. After that was done, I didn't have any problems dealing with food intolerances, basically that on that end. But I was having flare-ups as though I was getting sick from food, and that was the other problem. You would be out somewhere and you would have a flare-up as though you ate something. And I'm like, what is going on? What is happening? And that produced a lot of anxiety. That was producing a lot of panic attacks. So I had to learn how to deal with that. I had to learn how to use a basic breathing exercise that I had to find out myself that no doctor taught me. So I just wouldn't push this on anybody, and I do. Like, that's my game plan. That's what I want to do.
I would like to applaud you for figuring out ways to treat yourself. Sometimes doctors can't be very helpful, but sometimes they aren't. They can be sometimes. That's what they're paid to do, but sometimes they aren't. Sometimes they just give you something by the book, and maybe you can't go by the book. Maybe you got to figure something. Maybe you're allergic to certain medication, or you have to intolerance to something. You just got to figure it out sometimes. And I applaud you for being able to do that. So, Tia is in the process of starting a nonprofit organization called BeMindfulLife.
Yeah.
BeMindfulLife. Tia, I want you to tell people a little bit about that. Like, what's your goal with that organization?
Okay. My goal with this organization is when I was going through the issues of IBS and mental health or whatever, dealing with the stigma, also going to see therapists because part of the battle was psychological anxiety and depression. I felt like the therapist couldn't relate to me. I felt like it wasn't a lot of resources out there. I felt like I had to do everything alone. So, Be Mindful Life was created. My tagline is people need people. So, my specialty is helping suicidal and people that's severely depressed. So we're going to either be the first line of defense or the second line of defense. So basically, if a person comes out at 7, care around the clock. I don't want them to be alone. That's my main focus. Like, I don't want you to be alone. And I'm going to have a cognitive behavior therapy program set. So it's like basically I'm going to have the program to last about a minimum of 3 months. I'm trying to form apps. It's a lot of things I'm basically trying to do, but I think my issue was these people are always trying to find somebody. I'm like, why are you trying to find somebody when you need help the most? I have to look for, okay, I'm depressed. Like, I'm trying to get out of bed, but I can't. Is somebody going to come and come to my house and help me? Oh, no, this person has to go to work, or this person has to do this, and this person has to do this. Further complicating the matter that the person has to do everything by themselves. And that's the problem. They're doing everything by themselves. Why? Why do you have to do everything by yourself? People need people. They need somebody to help. So that's why my company was created, because we're going to be that person. We're going to be that company that's putting people in homes, helping you 24/7, telling you need to get out of bed. We need to go for a walk. We're going to be in communication with therapists. At this time, you need to be doing this. We're going to be helping you wash clothes. We're going to be helping you cook. We're going to be taking you gas to go to. We're not going to put it all in your hands. We're going to be that extra support. That's basically why I started Be Mindful Life.
Well, I do applaud you for that as well. That's a brilliant idea. Getting out there, being more active in people's lives, and pretty much being in immediate contact, immediate availability for them when they're dealing with depression or when they're feeling defeated. Be Mindful Life is on Instagram as well. That's your actual Instagram page, Be Mindful Life.
Yes, that's correct.
So I'll put it inside the chat as well. Again, I spoke to the chat in there. I'm going to say, how's everybody doing this evening in the chat room? I spoke to it. I typed in there. But I just wanted to greet everybody in there. So, Tia, you are doing very, very great things for the community. It sounds like it. Sounds like you're about to get into some really heavy work. So, are you?
Yes, I am. Yes.
How are you gonna find people? Are you gonna get volunteers to do it? How's that gonna go about? Tell me a little bit about that process.
Well, right now I'm working with. I have a couple of mentors, so they're trying to kind of steer me on how I'm going to do it. So we don't know if we're going to have volunteers or we don't have trained professionals, because these people are, coming from the hospital, suicidal, severely depressed. So I don't know. I don't want anybody working with them. That's just me. I really don't want anybody, because what something was to happen. So I'm kind of in the works of how I'm going to, play that. like what I'm going to do with that.
Yeah, that was in my mind as well. September is known as National Suicide Prevention Month. I've been doing this. This is the third week of September. I last few episodes, I've had some really deep conversations with people that have made attempts on their own lives, but thankfully that they're still here and they are going above and beyond to help others out. They're starting organizations. They're reaching out to others. They're pretty much understanding that their life was saved for a reason. They weren't successful at taking their own life for a reason. And again, man, Suicide Prevention Month. It's always about reaching out to people and letting them know that you care about them, letting them know that they matter and that you're thinking about them. It could be someone that just randomly pop up in your mind. Like I said last week, I'm gonna say it again. We live in an era where people feel like it's wrong to double and triple text people. I could pretty much tell you people that I will blow your phone up. I will blow your phone up till you respond to me. You're not gonna ignore me. I'm sorry. That's not what's gonna happen. If I hit you up, I'm gonna keep responding till you respond back. So unless you block my number or delete me, I'm gonna keep messaging you. That's just how I am.
Yeah, you want to keep in contact. You want to see how they're doing, what they're doing. People miss those suicidal signs. They just let them be. Okay, they're acting a little weird today. Just let them be. I'm like, you don't want to do that, because if they have a change in behavior, if they were just sad and then now they have a change in behavior and they're happy, you have a big problem on your hands. They have accepted the fact that they're getting ready to die. So you really have to pay attention to that. And that's why I'm so focused on suicidal and just severely depressed people, because I just feel like it's not enough attention and resources for them. It's like, hey, after you come out the hospital, go home, set up a therapist appointment. No, that's not enough. This could lead it untreated. Why are you going to leave it in their hands to take care of themselves? Not at this moment. They can't do that. That's why I wanted to create this company, because at this critical moment, they can't take care of themselves. Let us take care of you until you're able to take care of yourself.
Absolutely. And like you said, I mean, people, their behavior just like changes drastically. It's someone that you talk to regularly and all of a sudden you stop hearing from them, or someone, for not just like for that day, like it's a couple days go by and you stop hearing from someone that you talk to regularly. That's strange. That's not normal for that to happen. So it's wise for you to go ahead and, reach out for this person or look out for them. Go check on somebody, man. I mean, it really it's not that difficult to be a good person, honestly, man. It's really not that difficult to give a damn.
I think people don't really want to take the time. They're like, oh, I'm pestering that person. But I said, hey, you could be saving somebody's life. Take the time. Who knows? You don't know how they feeling. They may be. You just never know. You just never know. I feel like people don't take the time to inquire about other people's feelings. They don't empathize, and I just don't get it. I just don't get it. If I don't call, are you gonna call me? Hey, what if I'm having a terrible day? What if I'm ready to take my life and I haven't responded to your calls in 5 days? Are you just like, okay, well, Tia don't want to be bothered. Just throw it out. Tia don't want to be bothered. That's not good.
No, that's not
But
good
that's
at
how
all.
that's what people do. That's why the suicide rate is the way it is. I feel like people just don't care enough about other people nowadays. That's the problem. That's the problem. People need people.
We are living in a day and age where there's not a lot of forgiveness out there. Even something simple like one thing goes wrong even in relationships, someone's like, okay, you know what? I cut somebody off when this happens. Someone does this to me, I cut them off. And that's not how it used to be. That's not how it used to be. I mean, not even just friendship, but like relationship wise, our parents' relationships lasted so long because they were able to work it out like an adults. They were able to work on things. They weren't just so quick. We live in a society now is quick to cut people off. That's what they say. Cut people off. Cut this off. Cut that off. This ain't working right. Let me cut it off. This friendship.
Mhm.
Me and this person get into it. Okay, we're gonna cut it off. I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit of a secret here. It might be a secret to some people. Some people might know this already. You're not gonna see eye to eye with someone on everything. So if you guys have a disagreement, that's normal. We so quick as a society to cut people off, cut things off, and it's pretty sad, man. Honestly, like there's not a lot of forgiveness out there, and people are just man, it's crazy. Just you sit back and think about it, how things are now compared to how they used to be. It's pretty
Well,
sad.
you absolutely right. If somebody don't call you at a certain time, it's like little things are just petty. Like, hey, you didn't call me at this. It was this or this or that. I'm like, it's just so petty. I'm like, can we get an understanding? I think the older I get, I empathize more. I try to overlook minor things. Okay, you didn't do that. Maybe you were busy doing this. Okay, you said that hurt my feelings. Maybe something bad happened to you earlier. Like, I'm always trying to overlook things before I just like, oh, you meant that. That was intentional. You intentionally tried to hurt me. I try to overlook that because it's like, okay, now I'm upset. I might say something to hurt your feelings because you hurt my feelings, but actually you really didn't mean it. You was actually hurt by something else, but I felt like you was trying to hurt me, so I could have just overlooked it, but I just went for the jugular. I just wanted to hurt your feelings. So yeah, it's not a lot of forgiveness out here. Everybody feels as though they just easily offended, maybe too sensitive. I don't know.
Yeah, people are very sensitive. They are sensitive.
Nowadays.
Um, yeah, they are. T, I want. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at the thought of that. Because it's just really silly if you sit there and think about it for a second or two. I want to ask you a little bit about, what do you do for work outside of your passion?
Oh, I'm a nurse by trade.
A nurse by trade.
Nurse.
Now, the reason why I asked you that is because I knew that already because we talked about it. But what department do you work in?
Well, I work in a nursing home, but I float on different floors. I work psych. I work skilled. Work Alzheimer's, dementia. I work rehab floor. I love my psych patients. I love my Alzheimer's, dementia patients. I feel like I work with them the longest. Yeah, pretty much. I just love taking care of people.
T, I just wanted to ask you real quick, because I talk to nurses. That's a very stressful field to work in, right? I mean, I had somebody comment on my status earlier because they work inside the emergency room. They were saying how they lost somebody, right? Someone went to cardiac arrest. 22-year-old kid on Tuesday went to cardiac arrest, and it just affects them like mentally. It's really defeating to know that you were trying to save somebody's life, and it's really stressful and mentally defeating to know that you weren't successful, right? You didn't succeed at that. So, as a nurse yourself, I'm not sure if you ever experienced that before, but when you're stressed out about the job, like when something is not going right for someone, for you at work in one way or another, how do you cope with that? Like, how do you come back down from that feeling of, that defeated feeling of not being able to do your job, feeling like you haven't done your job right, pretty much?
I've been doing this for a long time. I started as a CNA, so when I was a CNA, I think I probably felt like that when I was taking care of somebody and the patient may have died. But I think over the years I've learned how to cope with death. I've learned how to cope with death more easily. So I try to do my best. I try to do my best to take care of people. I think more so that affects me on my job is outside. Like I try not to bring my outside problem makes it work. Because when I'm at work, I need to focus on the task at hand. Like I'm present. I'm so present. I'm dealing with death. I'm dealing with life. I'm dealing with behavioral issues. I'm dealing with G2s. I'm dealing with this. I'm dealing with that. And I'm so used to dealing with that. It's just a normalcy of seeing somebody pass away and somebody healing. So I don't take it as hard as like I used to. I guess because I've been doing this for so long. So that's the answer.
So I guess you could say you're desensitized to it.
Yeah, you could say that pretty much.
And that sounds like a bad word,
Pretty
but prolonged exposure to certain things cause you not to have that shock value from it anymore. I mean, you kind of callous towards it a little bit, like, and it's not bad. I mean, these words sound like they're bad, but because you're not okay. How do I put this in a way that's sugarcoated? I don't know. Like you.
No, I totally get you.
Not you.
No, I totally get you.
Not you, but the listeners. A way to sugarcoat it. Let's say you fall off your bike, and you know as a kid, the first time you fall off the bike, you hurt your knee, right? Crying about it. Next few times, you keep doing it over, and then soon you fall off, and it's like, like you're hurt from it, but it's not as hurt as you was the first time. You're not shocked by that pain because you felt it before, kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you said you moved up as a nursing field and you experienced it. A person that commented on my stats was relatively young, so then they don't have that long-term experience as a nurse. So I mean, but
that's the difference. Like dealing with children now, even right now, just the difference. I deal with geriatrics. I deal with the elderly. In a given time, 10 or 20 years, they're expected to pass away, and they're already sickly coming into the nursing home. But if I was to deal with children, I think I probably wouldn't feel this way. I think that's the difference, the population that I take care of. If it was a 22, oh my God, I think I'm like, I was spazzed out. Like, oh my God, I'm trying to save a baby. He's still a young person, a kid to me. Oh yeah, I was spazzed out. But somebody that's 85 and 86, it's expected. It's expected to me. So I don't really get like bent out of shape if one of my patients like pass away due to natural causes or.
One thing I could say.
So yeah, that should answer your question.
One thing I could say to you. You're right. I mean, there's a huge difference, but for me, it's during the time. It's that time of year. All the kids are going back to school, and when I think about the desensitized, we as a society, and this is pretty fucking sad that I can say this. I'm sorry, but it's true. We are desensitized to school shootings. What I mean by that is when they happen, we aren't as shocked anymore. We're not as shocked anymore, and that's scary, right? I seen Sandy Hook Foundation had like a commercial going on with what kids need back to school, and why they were showing what the kids were getting. I'm not sure if you guys saw it or not. It's on social media, circling around social media. But when they showed what the kids were getting, they were using backpacks, and they were showing them saying what they need back to school, kind of like how the Walmart commercials do, but in the background it was like something traumatic going on. Like it was showing kids using like they was like, hey, we need these such and such, these just to make sure that we got back to school. We need our hoodies, and they showed them like tying the hoodie around a kid's leg or something that was bleeding or something like that. Like it was showing.
Lord!
I mean, it was really like looking at the commercial. It was like really eye opening. But these are what these kids have a chance to be exposed to now, right? And that's crazy.
Oh.
That's never used to be like that. And that's again, man.
No,
a lot of people are considering schooling their kids because of this. A lot of people are considering pulling their kids out of school.
Even while you telling me this, it's like my heart is just like, oh my God. Like I just, I'm like, oh my God, like, oh Lord. I'm thinking about my son, like, oh God, Jesus Christ.
Yes, I mean, I
Think
seen the
about
video.
that.
It's on face.
It's so hard.
I saw it on Facebook and Twitter. I'm not sure if it's circling around Instagram yet. I'm pretty sure you probably could find it. Sandy Hook. Just, I mean, even on YouTube, you could probably search it on YouTube. Just Sandy Hook back to school video, and I promise you, it's gonna pop up, and you're gonna watch it, and you're gonna be like, wow, he wasn't kidding. You know, I saw it, and I was like, I just couldn't. I mean, my mouth was open the whole time watching it. Like, it's just, it's insane how society has shifted to not being surprised by certain things happening anymore. That used to be that would be shocking, right? To hear about that happening, shocking. Like the whole nation would be a standstill, right? Now you hear people.
Yeah.
It could be. I promise you, and I'm not kidding, Tia. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding at all. You could be in a public venue. Say if you're at like an airport or like a radio zone or something like that, and they could be talking about a school shooting, and everybody walking past that's listening won't even stop to pay attention to what's being heard. They probably already heard about it. It's like whatever to them, you know. That's not how it used to be.
Yeah. That's the current climate. It's sad. It's sad. It's definitely sad. You know, it's everybody. I feel like because there's so much trauma that's going on, I feel like all of us are just desensitized. You know, you may say like, no, I'm so sensitive about this, about that.